Picture a Viking. Most likely, you are imagining a massive, blood-soaked warrior screaming through a burning village while wearing a heavy iron helmet with animal horns sprouting from the sides. Those horns never existed. They were invented in the late 19th century as costume pieces for Richard Wagner's operas, creating a visual myth that has persisted for over 100 years. This misconception extends to the very name. In the medieval world, Viking described an activity rather than an ethnic identity or a nationality. The Old Norse phrase, going a Viking, functioned as a job description. It referred specifically to seafarers who left their homes to seek wealth through adventuring, trading, or raiding. To understand the people who connected the globe for 3 centuries, we have to look past the modern image of the pirate and examine the real Scandinavian society that produced them. The people behind these expeditions were primarily farmers, skilled craftsmen, and merchants from the regions now known as Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. They operated within a complex social hierarchy, where land ownership determined a family's status, and they followed a religion that prioritized the favor of warrior gods like Odin and Thor. Their belief in Valhalla, a warrior's paradise reserved for those who died bravely in combat, fostered a culture that viewed high-risk seafaring as a path to eternal prestige. This spiritual fearlessness met a practical need. Young men required wealth and social capital to establish their own estates in a land-scarce environment. By the late 8th century, this combination of social pressure and religious daring was looking for a technological catalyst. That catalyst was the clinker-built longship. This design represented a total break from the shipbuilding traditions of the rest of Europe. Norse shipbuilders used a technique where split oak and pine planks were arranged in an overlapping pattern, similar to roof tiles. Each plank was then secured to the one below it using hand-forged iron rivets. Because these overlapping planks provided their own longitudinal strength, the ships required fewer heavy internal frames, making the finished vessel exceptionally lightweight. This construction created a hull that could flex. While a rigid ship might crack or spring leaks in heavy seas, the clinker-built hull deformed slightly with the action of the waves, absorbing the ocean's energy rather than resisting it. This design also resulted in a remarkably shallow draft. This chart compares a Viking ship's draft to a medieval merchant vessel. The Norse ship sits much higher. This allowed them to seamlessly navigate deep into continental rivers, far too shallow for other ocean-going ships. For the Scandinavian farmer, the clinker-built ship was a specialized tool that turned the entire European river system into a highway. Lacking a magnetic compass, these sailors navigated the open sea by observing the sun's position, tracking ecological indicators like the migratory patterns of whales and the flight paths of seabirds. This system of navigation and engineering enabled a generational westward push, culminating in Leif Erikson's expedition around the year 1000. Eriksson's crew successfully crossed the North Atlantic to reach a region they called Vinland, making them the first Europeans to establish a presence in North America, 500 years before the voyage of Columbus. Reaching the Americas followed a systematic leapfrog pattern. Each settlement in Iceland and Greenland served as a vital staging ground, providing the information and resources necessary for the next voyage west. Archaeologists identified this North American site as L'Anse aux Meadows. The remains of these sod buildings show how the Norse actually utilized the New World. The site lacks typical markers of a permanent agrarian colony, such as long-term livestock pens or a diverse family population. Instead, L'Anse aux Meadows functioned as a specialized gateway, a seasonal base camp for repairing ships and harvesting softwood timber to be shipped back to the wood-starved colonies in Greenland. When the logistical effort of maintaining this outpost outweighed the value of the timber gathered, the Norse simply abandoned the experiment. They were practical resource gatherers who prioritized viable trade routes over permanent conquest. The Viking Age didn't end with a definitive military defeat. It concluded through cultural assimilation into the very societies the Norsemen had once raided. Settlers in France became the Normans, and in the East, the Rus, forming the foundational political structures of modern Europe and Russia. This gelling runestone represents the final transition. It features the figure of Christ intertwined with traditional Scandinavian artwork, marking the official conversion to Christianity and the end of the distinct Norse expansion. The Vikings left a legacy that goes far beyond the myth of the bloodthirsty pirate. They were engineers and navigators who developed the first truly global network of the medieval world.